In today's video, we are going to be looking at the upcoming pattern, the pattern up ahead, and I believe there's going to be a very massive pattern shift coming to the United States over the next few days. So let's take a look at what that is. There is a general thunderstorm risk for areas along the Gulf Coast here as this system moves out. We have the low pressure system. We got like a warm front over top, cold front swinging through on the backside, bringing more cold air. And then this is bringing warm air up ahead of it. However, we have a winter weather advisory out for areas in North Carolina for some light snow accumulation and ice accumulation up to 1/10 of an inch. As you can see, we have mixed precipitation and snow starting to develop across North Carolina by this time. By the way, this is the Euro model. This is the 0Z run from a while ago because the current run is not finished yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of a wind threat pushing onto the coast of Florida here. It looks like a squall line type event. We have this system pushing into the northeast, bringing some snowfall around the backside of it. And then we have a little bit of a secondary low here, kind of bringing more energy down. And as this system moves off, we see it kind of develop, but it's too offshore to bring any impacts to the United States. And as you can see, a massive pattern shift. We see troughing in the west, ridge out east. This would bring spring-like temperatures to areas in the southeast, the south central plains. We could get some more like 70-degree temperatures in areas like Texas and Oklahoma. And we do see a little bit of a storm system develop. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few severe weather events across the south during this warmer period. So that's just something I wanted to point out. As we see this troughing and ridging get even more intense here, we have a more defined area where the ridging is. As you can see, the freezing line is all the way up here in Minnesota, even up into areas like North Dakota. So very, very warm temperatures, and we have this low pressure system. It's got the warm front out top, cold front kind of bringing through some showers and thunderstorms. And as those showers and thunderstorms move through, they become really, really widespread. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a severe weather event out of this if that did occur. Then we see kind of a little bit of a secondary low develop here, or really a isolated low, but it's bringing a little bit of moisture and cold air, and then a little bit more warmth out east, kind of keeping the pattern going. However, we do see this shot of cold air where we get a return to the current pattern, which is troughing in the east and ridging out west. And this would make for basically just the temperatures we've been seeing. As it moves on, we kind of see the pattern return like this again. Alright. This is the end of the model run. We kind of see the pattern return to ridging in the east, troughing out west. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one or two more cold shots out east after this, but after that, I think it'll probably be about springtime, and it'll be more of a warmer weather season for almost everyone except for the far northern areas. Let's take a look at the GFS model and see what it says about this. Let's take it to the current run. So this is the most recent one. So it has this another cold shot, massive ridge. However, it's kind of liking to push this ridge out towards the east, but not as much as the Euro did until it finally collapses and it kind of gets pushed out east, but it's not as intense as the Euro showed it. It's more of a zonal flow a little bit. I mean, it's kind of ascending flow where we have slight troughing, very weak, and then slight ridging. But it wouldn't be anything too intense like the Euro was showing. As we can see, it's more of a zonal flow at this point, more of a west to east flow. And then we kind of get this pattern where it's just storms tracking through this area and not really much happening. And then the GFS finally shows the ridge picking up in the east and the trough really picking up out west. And it shows kind of a boundary here where the storms are developing. It shows a pretty intense low here, bringing a cold front, which is bringing a bunch of cold air down this way. And then it has a warm front over top, which is funneling all this rich, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico all up into the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if this did occur, that we've seen a severe weather event out of this. Now, because we are getting closer to that time of springtime, where severe weather events will be more common across the southeast. And this is the last frame of the model run. And it kind of shows a more trough out west and then really a more zonal flow out east. But it should probably bring a little bit warmer temperatures than usual. So let's take a look at the temperature anomaly on the European model. We're going to have to go back to the 0Z run once again. Let's see. So this is the 2 meters above ground level air temperature. So as you can see, right now we kind of have this really massive ridge out in the east, trough out west. You can see where the colder air is. We had this trough kind of intensifying along with the ridge. As you can see, we have very, very cold Arctic air. It has kind of like a clean pocket of Arctic air here. And then we're going to kind of see that start to collapse, and it's going to start to move out on the coast and be less intense as it originally was. As you can see here, we have mid-60s and upper 50s across most of the south here, if not all of the south. We have this cooler pattern start to develop, as you can see, very cold air starting to push in to the western states. As we see, like areas in Texas hitting even the 80s in some southern areas. Nashville 54, areas like Charleston 63. I believe that's Raleigh, that's 56. Columbia 62. Little Rock 62. So all these areas, well-known areas in the south. There you go. Okay. Getting really warm temperatures. As you can see at this point, this might be the farthest north the warm is pushed all the way into Kentucky. We still have a little bit of a push for warmth. This could be caused by cold air damming east of the Appalachian Mountains with a high pressure system. That could be the cause of it. In fact, we have Nashville at 61, areas in Texas in the mid to upper 70s, and even the mid 80s down near Brownsville. Let's take a look at let's see. What hour was that? Let's see. We are out here at frame 40 out of 61. Okay. So let's go to this frame 40. Alright, I'm just kind of gonna go to that to see what the cause of that colder air was. This is the same frame. We kind of have, I'm not exactly sure what was causing the colder air. It may be cold air damming, because this is just, or it's just a general jet stream flow. It's ridging and then it starts descending. That could be a cause of it as well. We have also this precipitation. This is aligning with very warm temperatures. That's a little bit concerning. As you know, severe weather typically needs warmer air. So let's go back out to the frame we were on. Okay, this is like, it's starting to get cooler in areas, as you can see. Definitely more noticeable. As you can see here, we have more of a cooler look across the entire nation, except for the south central plains where there is still kind of a ridging effect. And then we start to get this trough out west, ridge in the central states, and trough out east kind of look as this cold air is pushed in from both sides. And then we have the ridge out in the central states here somewhat. So that's just something to keep in mind. Um, Definitely noticeable here where it gets up into the 60s as far north as Kansas, and it even expands out into the southeast here. Uh, 64 degrees in Memphis, 54 in Knoxville, 51 in Columbia. So that's just something interesting to keep in mind. And then here it gets really warm. This ridge is really starting to take effect for the eastern states. 87 degrees, almost 90 degrees near Brownsville, Texas. That is very unseasonably warm for the 19th of February, as we have a ton of moisture and warmth surging up into the eastern states. This would be a major pattern flip. Let's see what the GFS says about this. So the GFS is showing this trough out east, ridge out west once again. Kind of like the pattern we've been seeing all winter, the clean pocket of cold and warmer air. And then this is, it's starting to, the trough is starting to collapse, as you can definitely tell in this ridge. And then it's kind of like a weird pattern of flipping back and forth between troughs and ridges out in the east. But you can see overall this prevails, and this is something really interesting. We have this kind of warm front draped out front, and then this cold front clearly bringing a line of storms. Probably very intense storms at this point, but it's going to be hard to tell because this is near the end of the model run, so we can't say for a fact that those storms are going to happen. If we look at the precipitation and then go towards the end of the run, oh yeah, this is a very intense system. However, it's hard to say if this will happen. As you can see, it's funneling cold air down the backside and tons of rich moisture up into the eastern states, although it's definitely hard to say this will happen at this point. So if we look at the euro, this is another thing that was really helpful. I know I keep kind of switching back, but it's going to be really helpful to see this. If we can see, I don't know if we can see the temperature anomalies, but I don't think we can see the temperature anomalies on here. So let's see if we can see that on the GFS. I don't know if we can see that either. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay, so we have the GFS here. Obviously colder anomalies. This is compared to average. This is not actual temps. No, it's not actually negative 15 degrees in Michigan. This is just departure from normal. We have a very large pocket of cold air clearly developing across the eastern states. And then we have a very large pocket of warmer air also developing across the western states. So, as we move along, the cold kind of takes one final shot at the east. As you can see, renewed cold. And then we kind of have that cold pocket intensifying one last time and then collapsing really off the eastern coast. And then we have another outbreak of cold air across the east once again. And then kind of finally this ridge kind of takes full effect. As you can see, some areas getting as high as 38 degrees above average. This would be record shattering probably. And you can see the clear ridge out in the east, and then another Arctic shot at the east. So Arctic shots are not done yet, but they're going to become a bit less common, I would say. We've been seeing them all winter for the east, all winter long. We have this clear pattern developing where there's some kind of cooler anomalies developing out west. And then we have very intense warmer anomalies developing out in the east. So a lot of big temperature changes going to be happening. We have another Arctic shot trying to make its way into the United States. You can see the clean pocket of cold air there. It finally kind of affects the eastern half of the nation although it kind of starts to get less intense. And then obviously you have this system that the GFS was showing with the allowing all this cold air over here if that system does happen. But for now, what we see is colder anomalies out west, and then we have the warmer anomalies out in the east. Although it does start to get more closer to average for most areas. So and that's something to point out as well. It's getting closer to average for these areas. So that was about all I wanted to show you there. On the radar, this is the composite. Oops. Okay, this is the composite radar precipitation type. Obviously, we have those winter weather advisories in effect for North Carolina. We have this low pressure system with a little bit of a warm front over top. However, this cold front is going to usher in colder air into the eastern states for that, like, kind of, I guess, one final push. Or there's going to be a few more final pushes of cold air, and then it'll switch to a warmer pattern out east. It's kind of hard to say what's going to happen after that, though. But this system, particularly on the northern side, could bring some freezing rain, snow, and sleet to areas in North Carolina. We're seeing on the winter weather advisory up to 1/10 of an inch of ice. That would be not really good, obviously, because ice is never like the ice that is going to be occurring here. Up to 1/10 of an inch that can knock out power lines and everything like that. Although it's really less likely to knock out power lines and everything when it's that little amount. But if you look at this, we don't really have anything at all going on around the rest of the entire nation. We have only maybe a few snow flurries occurring in the northeast, a few rain and snow flurries, rain showers and snow flurries occurring back in these areas, and that's about it. I don't even see any moisture in the Pacific Northwest anymore. I'm not seeing that. I don't know. It's hard to tell but I do believe that this is really the only major system in the United States right now. So that's just interesting to point out. We have the Weather Prediction Center here. This is today. We have some mixed precipitation back in areas like Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia. And then we have a little bit more mixed precipitation for these areas. And then we have, obviously, the snow flurries we talked about in the Great Lakes regions. And then we have a bunch of high pressure out west. As you can see, a ton of high pressure. That's probably what's keeping the skies clear. We do have a little bit of a thunderstorm risk out here in the southeast. I do know we had a tornado warning yesterday near Houston. That was pretty crazy. Day 2, this is tomorrow. We have a little bit more flurries and showers going on across the Great Lakes. And then this system really dies down, though it's not quite done yet. It's still dropping some mixed precipitation and freezing rain, maybe some sleet. And then we have rain showers down to the south there. And then the day 3 forecast, a bunch of snow showers all the way from North Carolina, Tennessee, all the way up into Maine and the Great Lakes. Snow showers and flurries will be possible. And then we have finally some moisture returning back to the west as we see mixed precipitation and rain showers starting to develop. So that's just interesting there. We have the Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day. This is the 9th through the 13th. We really see this warmer pattern start to kick in for the central and eastern states as this ridge starts to really build. And then we have some cooler anomalies, although here out east, and we have a lot more wetter anomalies for a lot of the country, except for the eastern states or the far eastern states, like along the eastern seaboard. Then we have the 8 to 14 day outlook, the 11th through the 17th. And we have a massive ridge building out in the central eastern states. It's really starting to take control. And then we kind of have this trough building out west, and it is going to bring cooler anomalies out west and warmer air out east. So this is really a massive ridge. This I don't see this going away really anytime soon. Uh, Probably towards the later part of the month. I would say towards like the 23rd or so. Around that time frame is what I'm generally talking about. Again, a lot of weather pattern for most of the United States, except these far southern areas here. So I think that'll do it for today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Also check out EpicPen. You can get the free version, but I recommend the $2 a month version for a lot more, as you can see all the benefits here. So thank you for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next video.